Help Save Our World Speak 95. It occurred to me that life-altering events are actually the gifts necessary for living a sustainable life. Not all of them, but there are those moments where you're like, oh my gosh, I really need to change who I am and how I live in this world to live in a sustainable future. And sometimes it takes dealing with extreme near-death experiences or NDEs or other life-altering events to awaken, to begin changing your life and eventually start to live sustainably on Mother Earth. It's like we're being called upon. So examples of this would be the pandemic, isolation from viruses, like COVID, health problems, diseases, a near death in your family or a death in your family, a divorce, an attempted suicide, a loss of your home, wars, or the realization that, of course, ultimately, which we are trying to expose, is that we're racing towards extinction. And the fact that you're facing extinction becomes like, as you realize that, it becomes that life-altering event, that moment where you change direction. So these life-altering events are opportunities to learn, make better choices, and head in a different direction in your life. They guide you to think, make better choices, and change into a better you while growing a better and more sustainable way of life and world around you. These are your wake-up calls back into alignment with yourself, Mother Nature, and love, balance, and harmony with yourself, others, life, and Mother Nature. So the question is, are you listening, learning, and changing? Because nothing happens if you're not listening. Anyone? Alex?
No, 100% agree. We're not going to change unless we change our point of view, change our mind, change the way we think and the way we progress through our lives.
Yeah.
Well, I'll agree with you on that. The need for the wake-up call in life, and that could, as you mentioned, come in lots of different ways. I've had discussions and listened to a lot of conversations about that topic now, as far as what we're going through in civilization right now globally. And if we don't consider this a wake-up call on so many different levels, then life will just be whatever it is, and people won't be present to what's happening, I guess, is the most important thing. And if we're not present and not listening or paying attention, then we're living a life of ignorance, I guess, is the best way to put it. And we're subject to the whims of what happens in the world.
I like those terms, like ignorance. It's not that you're stupid, it's that you tend to ignore. It's a choice to ignore. And
exactly
that was the basis of my first book, Beyond the Age of Ignorance. The age where we ignore, we now need to move to an age where we don't ignore anymore. So awesome. All right, so these forced extreme changes are your opportunities and your gifts. Hidden in every extreme experience and subsequent story, because you'll always tell a story about what you experienced, are life's lessons that prepare you for your journey back into alignment with yourself. So you're learning all these lessons, and if you heed them, that is your guidance. It'll lead you back into alignment with yourself, your essential nature, and Mother Nature. They also give you the necessary impetus, like the motivation to undertake your next learning journey of change. And of course, transformation ultimately, as you transition into your new, hopefully fair, happy, healthy, and sustainable future. Often preceding that extreme event, you have reached an impasse, like you're just and you've run into a wall in your previous relationships or a way of thinking, or you see the pollution all around you and you're like, oh my gosh, or you personally are totally out of alignment, love, balance, and harmony with your life, with others, with Mother Nature. And you can see it expressed all around you in all of these different things, and feel it internally. So the next thing is practicing self-healing is essential on this balancing journey of life to ensure sustainability. So faced with this situation, you have no alternative but to choose to go out on your next journey of change, reclaim your life, regain alignment, balance, and harmony, thus moving on to a better, healthier, happier, and more sustainable way of life. Okay, comments?
No, I agree.
You agree? Okay, Alex? Because movement and change are fundamental to life, nothing changes unless you move. Although change is uncomfortable, trust yourself and step into those changes. You might be unaware of it, but you are guided through your life. All you need to do is to become aware, breathe, quieten your monkey mind, as you referred to earlier, and listen. Listen to your intuition, your inner voice, your internal gut feelings, and the voices in your head, not the monkey voice, not the monkey mind, but the voices of guidance and intuition. Your guides will speak to you, your ancestors, and of course, be connected with the natural world around you, because that's also speaking to you. You can also ask questions of the wise, conscious, non-physical or metaphysical entities of the universe. They're not necessarily your ancestors or whatever, or relations or whatever, but if you put a question out there, you will be answered. Then you can learn and become aware of your lucid dreams and write them down, which is like so much of that wisdom that you're seeking is in there. You can learn to live by that guidance, and what you need to know will be revealed to you when you need it. And that's such an incredible thing. It's like on this journey, it's like everything I've written and the books and everything, that's like, it's as if I'm just allowing myself to flow with my guidance. And by doing that, that's why these things come up. I'll come in contact with somebody, they'll speak to me and bring up some incredibly important subject. And it all is like my path is revealing and being created for me just by listening and going with that flow. So by focusing on listening, learning, and practicing what you've learned, you'll live a charmed life. And if not, you'll suffer the consequences. Okay, comments, Alex?
I agree with the whole suffer the consequences thing. I mean, if you don't, we were having a discussion last night about a guy who was living in Zambia when all the trouble was happening there. And there was a lot of pressure on the Black people to rid the land of the foreigners and the guys taking their land. And, you know, it wasn't a case of, you're my friend, I can protect you, you're safe in this environment. There was a lot of pressure on them to rid the land of these people. You know, if they didn't reveal these people that were hiding out or taking the jobs or whatever on the land, they were beaten and cast out of the clans and the environment. So, I mean, there's a lot of pressure on everyone to do that. So, you know, you've got to know when to change. You've got to know, hey, things aren't right. You know, people are telling me, get out, get out, get out. Now's the time to get out before things get worse. If you stick by your guns and be like, oh, well, I'm not leaving, this is my house, my land, you're going to lose. You're going to suffer the consequences.
On that, I just read an article yesterday about a city in northern England, which is it's on the coastline, and apparently they're targeted for sea rise. I guess once the sea breaches what little berm there is, it'll just flood their whole valley, and the town will be wiped out. So the British government has just said, okay, everybody has to leave. And the people there going, no, no, I've been here for 40, 50, 60 years, a couple of generations. This is my home. You're not just going to push me out without compensation or anything else. And, the government is not going to help people once they're flooded out either. It's just that was their mandate. This is what we can do, and we can't afford to move everybody and, pay you off. It's just nature impacting us. And this is what we see. So there's that same thing about, well, if you don't leave, you definitely will suffer the consequences. And I get that that's their choice. If that's the way it is, and that's the way I have to go out, then that's the way I'm going to go. And I get how human beings make choices like that, definitely on principle and on their own beliefs, and certainly against a government that they don't trust and is not doing anything to help them relocate. So, it's always a question of at what point am I willing to risk my life for what I believe in? And many times that's the case. And, many times people can be right in their decision, and they'll literally be dead right once the circumstances hit.
That's it. It's an awesome. I like the fact that you brought up that concept, Alex, of Northern Rhodesia and so on. It's like colonialism was imposed upon people. Their lands were taken. The land was then turned into white farmlands for tobacco farming. And so it was this imposition of this, well, first of all, a devastation of nature to put in all of these tobacco farms and so on. And so those people lost their land, and they've been surviving and getting jobs working on the farms and working in cities and so on. But then with the president of Zimbabwe, he said, give my people back their land and give your people back their money that they paid you for the land, because it wasn't your land in the first place. And the crown laughed at him. It was like, ha, 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 big joke. But ultimately, when it came to, as time passed and they were denied that, he basically said to the people, it's your land, go back and take it. And then, of course, there was a lot of driving the farmers out of the land and so on, and quite a lot of violence. But eventually the people ended up on the land. But now they didn't have all of the ecosystems and all of the plant life, all as it was when the colonialists arrived. So now they're living in a devastated region, except for tobacco plants, which they can do nothing with because they're not connected to international markets. They can't sell it, and they don't know how to grow it, and so on. So they are then blamed for being stupid and not capable of looking after their own and growing their own land, and people are starving, and it's an extreme situation, but not created by them. And then the interesting thing beyond that is wherever you create imbalance, ultimately it will return to balance, to living sustainably. And that's what them going back to the land is. Eventually they will start to learn all of the natural ways again and start to live sustainably. But that's a journey back. And nobody's teaching them or showing them how to do that. So it's not that they're stupid. They just, they've lost their ancient wisdom, which they have to regain to survive and to live sustainably. Yeah. So, sorry, that was a bit of a long-winded thing, but anyway.
No, it was actually appropriate. And we can see that happening in Ukraine right now, with not just taking the land, but destroying the land and poisoning the land. And then when the Ukrainians get the land back, what can they do with it? It's, obviously their position is we can't just give it up. And obviously Russia could care less about the homes and the culture that was there. They want it for something else. And it's just wanton destruction, unfortunately. And you can see that Ukrainians are putting their life on the line to maintain their belief that this is our place, and you don't get to do that in this world. So maybe however many centuries it'll take for the land to reclaim itself, and for the poisons and the toxins that have been dumped there to dissipate, it's a choice that human beings make, and it's not always, of course, the most logical. But then again, we're not always the most logical.
Alex?
I think that is crazy. I think that's punishment beyond anything I can imagine. Just like, not just taking back, not just claiming, but destroying. That is, yeah, I can't get my head around that.
Yeah, what did they used to? There used to be a word for it in war. I don't know what it was, strafe and burn or something like that. But yeah, it's unfortunately, it's historically, it's what conquerors do, and it's just so ridiculous. Yeah.
But I mean, surely we're more intelligent than that. Surely, like, I don't understand. I honestly don't understand.
Yeah, quite often that scorched earth, slash and burn were the concepts that were used by militaries. But I think when the Americans started using napalm in Vietnam was exactly an example of that, where, we're going to go through with our big war machine and we're going to slash and burn everything and kill as many people as we can. And then the war machine carries on, and then the people hid away in holes and the tunnels underground, and they come up and they just carry on living as though nothing happened. And so the Americans could never win that war. So the only way they could win the war was to poison all the plants, to kill all all the life on the land with this poison. Herbicide, meaning, that's where all of the herbicides and pesticides come from. It's from those factories that used to produce napalm, so for the war. And so these sort of warring tactics are despicable. It's just beyond any sort of sane, normal human being's comprehension. So yeah, carry on.
So Dennis, I just have one little tie-in for that. Even though this topic and our conversation here sounds a little bit off course, I think it's critical that we understand that there are people and forces and countries that still to this day believe that it's their right to pull that stuff. And that's what we're up against, as you well know. That's what created the problem that we're in now. And there are people that just like the people in the English city or the town on the coast, there are people, corporations, nations, billionaires, whoever it is, that don't want to give up what they have because it's mine and I can continue to do this as long as I want. And, those are the forces that have us preaching sustainability and a shift in humanity's thinking up against people that say, stay the course. Yeah. And, that's why it's so hard for us to accomplish things.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Yeah, it's just, you think people with money and power would be intelligent and enlightened and so on. And it's generally not the rule.
Yeah. They don't travel together necessarily.
They're not enlightened. They're not awake. They are ignorant, I hope I don't get shot.
They have money to continue living their lives as if they had lived it like many years before. They don't need to suffer the consequences of war.
Yeah.
It's the people on the ground that are suffering the consequences of war, the fighters, the soldiers, the teams on the ground, the farmers, the homesteads, and all of that. A guy in power literally sits in his leather seats and signs papers and tells people to do things. He's not affected at all by the disasters that he creates.
Yeah. It's a perfect living example of the concept that Dennis pushes a lot about, the pyramid schemes that we live under. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So yeah, great conversation. I love that conversation, and I do bring it up a little bit lower down. But anyway, it's one of those things. But anyway, so
we're tracking with you.
Yeah. You are. That's the point. Is we're we're generally like, our conversation is what I write about, and I write it like quite, like maybe from something I took from here and from what, what I wrote, and I refine what I've written, but the conversation is tracks along 100% together. It's genius, actually. That's that thing I was telling you about. It's like we're guided in our thoughts, our conversations, and it just manifests. It's like, it's unbelievable. So this whole of what Alex was saying, like they are separate in their concept of who they are in their ivory towers, sitting behind their, on their leather chairs and their desks and driving in air-conditioned, limousines and whatever. They live in another world. But the most critical thing is our connectedness to the whole universe. So we are expressions of one connected, living, conscious, growing universe. Try expanding your awareness from yourself to your environment, to the world, the non-physical or the metaphysical, to the vast expanses of the universe, and realize that they're one. Start this from the perceived present, mindful moments, breathing deep, long, deep breaths, silence your monkey mind, and get into your inner physical being and travel through your body, experiencing, I was a little sore from the weightlifting that I was doing today, and down to the tips of your toes. How do your toes feel from the walk? Oh, they're a little sore, but they feel good, and all the way through your body. It's like that in presence and that connecting to the consciousness of your inner body. And of course, take that to the tips of your fingers, all the way up to the tips of your hairs, and feel the connection between you and the outside world. And that's what our senses are. But it's not an outside world in that it's separate. It's all connected. Like we are sensing our physical connection to our environment around us. I've got this cool feeling on my one leg. I'm sensing the brightness of this light and the less intensity of that one. And I'm hearing this, I call it sounds of the forest, humming, buzzing sound, happening all the time. And I'm experiencing all of the other things. So it's really important that you go on that journey of and then you connect to your environment, and then you see the stars and the galaxies and the planets, and you connect, because that's what you are doing. You're receiving the light energy and the warmth of the sun and whatever from all of these different beings. You are totally connected. The whole universe is one living expression of life, of movement, of change. It's like we're living in this living universe. I can't explain it to you the way I feel it, but because words are so limiting, but it's like there is no separation. And that's critically important, because anything you do to yourself internally, or you don't do in terms of exercise or whatever, your diet, whatever, you're harming yourself, which is your expression of consciousness here, and you're harming the environment, and you're harming consciousness and the spread of life and consciousness, throughout the universe, because you're passing from where you are after life. You're not sort of just that energy of consciousness and who you are doesn't disappear. It is there and carries on living, so as one with the universe again, as a non-physical entity. So, why would you harm the universe, nature, solar system, your environment, yourself? Why would you do that? Why not live your best life? And that's what those life-altering events do. They wake you up, and it's hey, I'm put on too much weight, or I'm feeling sick or whatever. And it really is your guidance back in to living sustainably within your body or within your environment or as a planet, as an ecosystem in the galaxy and so on. So, yeah, for me, it's so much bigger. And of course, historically, what it took to get you here is critical. Anyone want to comment?
There's a lot there, and yes.
I'm sorry.
So that's okay. No, it's perfect. The question of why, probably nobody can really answer that, and I say that because we all have our unique perspective on life and who we are as beings. If we even have that perspective, and I think that's where I was going, is not everybody can get to that thought process or wants to get to that thought process for whatever reason. Either they're physically incapable of processing thoughts on that level, or they're uneducated on that level, or they just get too much stress when they go to that point, and no, I'm just going to cede my power to whatever system is out there that says we'll take care of you, just pledge your soul to us. But I agree with you, or not and I agree with you, it's the biggest question that we as beings in this form get to ask is, what is our purpose here? Who am I in the face of everything that I'm experiencing? And again, not everybody has the time to ask that question or to think about it. Half the world is scrounging for their daily meal. So it's not a question. Well, probably they do have those existential questions while they're out trying to find a piece of wood to burn or some water to drink or a morsel to eat. So I think as Heidegger had said, we don't really have any answers to this. So given that, we have full capability and permission to do whatever we want from the universe, may not be from our society, but the universe will say, here it is, your playground, go do it. Why not do something good for the world? Why not care for the world and the earth? Why not make a choice that helps other people? And again, that's just a concept and a way of being, literally. But it's a question we all continually get to ask at many points in our life. Sometimes we get fixed, as we know, the indoctrination of children in schools or in religions and things like that. They get a belief system instilled in them before they can even understand what a belief system is. And then they operate that, some of them, for the rest of their life. So will they question who they are and what they're doing? It's only if it relates to the set of rules that they've been told that they have to follow. So maybe there's some good in that somewhere along the way, and that it keeps them from being destructive. But on the other end, it keeps them, in this conversation, from experiencing that oneness that we're talking about. My rant.
Alex?
I think life is, as you say, a balancing act. I mean, you're going to be in and out of balance throughout your life, and it's not just necessarily, one aspect to your life. It's every aspect of your life that you could possibly think of. There's going to be this adjusting and transforming motion of your life and your expectations and the doors that open to you and the ones that close. And I mean, life is just this continuous flow of balancing your life to the environment around you. You may be in a situation now that you're struggling to find food and you're looking for that piece of wood to burn, but tomorrow you might, I don't know, fall on a lottery ticket and be eating way more than you normally, have for the next 5 years until that money completely dries up and you're back in the same situation you were. There's got to be a point of, while you're traveling through life, knowing the do's and don'ts, working through the processes. Don't overindulge, don't get too comfortable. Always be willing to change, always be willing to move with the new flow or direction your life takes, never be stagnant, never be slow to make a new decision or change your ways or hold on to some comfortable aspect of your life too much that it actually causes you hurt and emotional and physical pain. So you've got to be open to change.
Yeah, I think that's so brilliant, because like that was my realization. Well, I didn't, like you put in words, like that sinks in with me. I went to a barbecue last night, and there were two other guys who had been through the trauma of these Rhodesian experiences and Zimbabwe experiences and so on. And they are well-schooled, well-educated, and yet they're inflexible. They aren't able to change. So fascinating.
Yeah. Well, in many ways, that is playing the game of life not to lose, right? I have what I have, and nobody gets it. Two things that came up for me. One, I think the Buddhist, I think it's Buddhist, the only thing permanent is change. And then there's another one that I often go back to. Eric Hoffer was a union guy who was also a philosopher back, I'm going to say 60 years ago or so. And he had a line, one of many, that says, in times of change, learners, or people willing to adapt, will inherit the earth, while the learned will be well prepared for a world that no longer exists. So if that doesn't tell you about why we need to adapt and pay attention and listen and shift, I don't know what does. Yeah, it's always about adapting to what's happening now, living in the present.
Awesome, like that. So yes, you make choices, and some choices are better than others, which decide. Every choice is deciding your path. And of course, your preferences, what you desire, whatever, is what makes that difference of those choices. But when you have these like major life-altering events, those choices have a major impact on your path, your journey forward. Like you have subtle choices like, should I put butter on my bread or whatever? I mean, those things are happening all the time, but you end up on a path of life, like you're heading in this direction. And then this suddenly, like you've just said, this you've got to now realize that this is an impasse. You've got to change and head off in a totally different direction. And that might mean changing your meals as well, but it just says, anyway. So although change is uncomfortable, trust yourself and step into those changes. Nature, consciousness, and life are all contributing or aligning with you achieving what you ask for and what you desire. Life is about desiring it, asking for it, stepping into it. So step into your future with belief in yourself, trust in others, Mother Nature, your guides, the universe, whatever it is. That's like, for me, that's such an incredible thing. I got to 18 years old and I was last over on the beach and everything was going like amazingly well. And I sat down on a rock thinking, is this all that life's about? What do I do next? Do I leave this place and go out on that adventure into the unknown, or do I stay here? So it's really important for you to ask and then put it out there what you want. And also, once you're traveling, to trust in nature, the environment, those people around you, because it's in those relationships and your interaction as you're moving forward, and that movement forward, critical. If you're not trying, nothing will come to you. So anyone? Alex?
I've found that time and time again, for me personally, I don't know about everyone else on the planet, but for me personally, trust the process. There are signs all over the place that things are changing. You got to be open-minded. You got to be aware. It's like that story of the two mice, and they go around and they search for cheese, and they find this big stash of cheese, and they sit there, they build their home, they pack away their sneakers, and they sit eating cheese for many, many months. But the signs that the cheese is starting to dwindle and becoming less appetizing, and is becoming less and less, and the journey to change needs to happen. You've got to move, you've got to keep looking for change and new opportunities and things that happen. The signs all there that change needs to happen, and you've got to be ready and willing to accept the new steps of change that are coming your way. And if you're not ready and your tackies aren't on and you're not ready to run to and search for the next opportunities, you're going to lose your way.
Sorry, can you say that last sentence, a few sentences again, because I lost it.
If you don't put your tackies on and start running and start looking for the new opportunities, if you're not fit enough, if you're not strong enough, if you're not emotionally stable enough, you're not going to be open to the change. You're not going to want to change. You've got to be keeping yourself balanced enough to accept the change when it comes, and to see the signs of change that are in front of you, like showing you every day, hey, it's time to start looking again. It's time to start moving again. Things need to change.
That's awesome.
There was a great book in the mid-90s called Who Moved My Cheese, which
That's
is based on that the one. Okay, so the same story, yeah, which was a huge bestseller, and every organizational development coach used it, and it was around for many years. And it's exactly that, is that we get used to accomplishing things, and then when that pattern is broken, we just say, well, there's something wrong with the system. Who moved my cheese? Rather than, oh, my cheese is not here anymore, I need to go out and look for where it might be.
Correct.
So yeah, one wonderful analogy of life. Yep. Alex, I think we're getting, Alex and Dennis, I think we're getting close to the time.
Yeah.
I have a very short window to move to my next thing. Do we have
it's all good.
time left? Are we okay?
Yeah, no, we've got 6 minutes, but that's it. I mean,
okay.
If you want to, you can end a show. It's no problem. But I love those your input, both of you. It was excellent.
Cool. Well, maybe that's where it gets to be today. Yeah. I got to go chase my cheese.
Good.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Good.
I think we're going to go and chase a pool table just to get Alex out of the house.
Well, that is going to be my new cheese. It's going to be my new
adventure.
I'm looking for new opportunities, new things to change, new environments, new everything. I want to meet new people with a good activity that doesn't hurt other people. I want change.
All right. That sounds like a declaration of transformation about to happen.
Absolutely.
Good on you. Great.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Dennis, I'll contact you this week. We'll just talk about some of the other things that we just touched on earlier today, as far as process, if that works for you.
Oh yeah. Just let me know of a day and a time.
Sure.
Like in the mornings, normal sort of time in the day that we normally connect, and it should be fine with me. All right.
Good.
All right, well, have a magical evening, day, week. See you soon.
Peace, love, and adaptation.
There you go. Cheers.